now we'll go to number 7. So a lot of the SAT questions are really just trying to confuse you, like really badly. So here, imagine, well, let's read it together. The formula above gives the monthly payment M needed to pay off a loan of P dollars at R% annual interest over N months. Which of the following gives P in terms of M, R, and N? So all of this stuff you don't really need. All of this stuff, it's just there to confuse you. So let's blur all that out. So we have this equation right here. I'm actually just going to go ahead and erase this over here. So we have space. We already went over it. I'm going to square what we need here. That was the most sloppy square I've ever made in my life. And then square here. Alright, so this is all we need. So right now, what do we have? We have an equation that gives M in terms of P, N, and R. That's what we have now. And what it wants us to have is to give the equation P in terms of M, R, and N. So all we have to do is get P alone and M on the other side, pretty much. So imagine we had M equals 1/2 times P. How would you put it in terms of M? In terms of M, we'll just leave it at that. In terms of M, what would you do? If you wanted it to give an equation that gives M in terms, oh no, I mean gives an equation that gives P in terms of M, what would you do to both sides? That gives P in terms of M, yes. So what we do is we multiply both sides by the reciprocal of this fraction, which is just 2. So it would be times 2 over 1 times 2 over 1. That's all we would do. And it would give P in terms of M. Does that make sense to you? I feel like where you might be struggling is the words in terms. Do you understand what in terms means? Okay, so we'll go over that first. Yeah. So say we had a regular function. We just had a regular function. It was like y equals 2x. This equation gives y in terms of x. It gives y in terms of x because y is alone. Because y is alone. So if it was y equals x squared plus c, you're giving y in terms of x and c because y is alone. Does that make sense? So if we wanted to get this exact equation in terms of x and y to give c, it would be y minus x squared equals c. This is y and x in terms of y and x to give c because c is alone. Does that make sense now? So if the equation is giving you something, that has to be alone, and the in terms of has to all be on the same side. Okay? So now let's go back to the original equation they gave us. They gave us m equals blah blah blah, nonsense, we don't need that, times p. So let's go back to the first thing I said to you, was m equals 1/2 p. Now in order to give p in terms of m, we have to get p alone, right? And all we do is multiply the fraction by the reciprocal, 2 over 1, which is just 2, but for the exercise it's helpful, times 2 over 1. So all we have to do here is the same thing. We just have to multiply it by the reciprocal, and it doesn't matter really what the reciprocal is. But in this case, it looks confusing, but it's not. So we'll write out the full equation just to make it bigger for you. 1 plus... Now, when you're doing the SAT, you're obviously going to have to make this connection a lot faster because you don't want to waste time on a question like this. But for educational purposes, this will get you there. So now what do we have to do here, like we did up here? Yeah. So the reciprocal in this case would be just to flip the denominator to the numerator. It doesn't matter what it is, it just looks confusing. That's what they do in the SAT. They really just try to confuse you. But you know everything to get it done. That's what matters. Now this is going to cancel out with this. And this cancels out with this. And or now I'm not going to write it out again. You see it, right? So the answer, we'll look for the answer now. I mean, it's obviously not this stuff over here. Alright, and let me just make sure with the answer key. Yep, it's B. Okay, so the next one, you understand that? Okay.